Hey everyone, it is Keeping It Real with Nikki and Jim. And I have a full dog war going on downstairs today. Oh my goodness, good thing we're doing from home, right?
Mine hasn't acted up yet, but we've got one.
Oh my goodness, I think all mine just started. Of course, great timing. So anyway, we're gonna get back to our buyers series. Carrie may be joining us in a little bit to give us an update on rates. And Jim, why don't you go and talk about what happened at the last, what our last thing was?
Okay, we've gone through, just to kind of give you a review, and you can go back and look at our previous videos, but we've kind of got you through the process of meeting a mortgage person, going and getting pre-qualified or pre-approved, and defining those two. And then last week we talked about the loan programs. So to kind of see what loan program fits you. So that brings us up to our current one today, which is you're ready to go look for homes, which is a fun part. And so that has to do with finding an agent. So
yeah, so how do you find an agent?
Well, that's a good question. We're right here.
I know, right? You call us, of course you do.
So
our phone numbers are right down there, just so you can see them, so you know how to get hold of us.
Exactly. So if you're in the area, of course, we would love to help you. But if you have somebody that you know, that is a great place to start. Somebody that is honest, competent, obviously. Or if you don't have somebody that you know, somebody that comes highly qualified and recommended. So, and make sure they know the area that you're looking in, that you're really interested in, because that really helps too. I would say if you're not in this area, I have friends that we're broadcasting to that are in Hawaii and Florida, that we can help find someone for you too. We can research that for you and give you a referral.
I'm kind of glad you're bringing that up, actually, Jim, because seriously, I mean, a lot of times you think, I mean, like, hey, Nikki's in Washington, she can't help me. You know, I have a huge network of that I can refer out to of other brokers, military, the MRP. I've got my MRP training, which is a military relocation professional. And so I've got a ton of different connections. So does Jim, as far as, you know, if you are looking for somebody, let us call and talk to the brokers rather than just picking some random person. Because I mean, if you know somebody and you trust them, great, choose that person. Or, you know, you have a family or somebody like that. But if you don't know anyone and you're just kind of randomly guessing, please reach out to any broker you know, because they're usually your friend and they have your best interests at heart, and they're going to help find somebody who is going to work well with you. They're going to take time to usually interview them. At least that's what I do, is I'll interview the brokers and make sure that it's a really good match for, you know, to go ahead and to help you find the home or to sell your home if that's what you want to do. So definitely reach out to us, even if we're not in your area. Thank you for bringing that up. I've been wanting to say that for a long time, because people don't think of me when they, you know, it's like, oh, Nikki's in Washington. And it's like, no, I can help. Please let me help.
Absolutely. That's a great option.
Yeah. And I mean, we know we're in the business, so we know the questions to ask. So it makes a lot of sense if you think about it. So let's get back into the buyers though. So you find your broker. I know that I'm super nosy. No, I'm not. I'm joking. But I do like to sit down with my buyers and I like to ask them a lot of questions. And it's not just because I'm trying to figure out, you know, what all their interests and all that stuff. I mean, I do care. That's not necessarily wrong, but there's a lot of really important reasons that we ask a lot of questions. Jim, what kind of questions do you ask when you're with buyers?
Yeah, really. I mean, the basic question is, where do you want to purchase? You know, like in Seattle, there's lots of little, you know, communities. On Kitsap, where we are, again, there's schools to consider. There's a number of things like that, which we will also ask. But the basic one is, where do you want us to look and to help you find something? Because I was born here, grew up here. Nikki's been here for 23 years, I think it is. And so we know the area very, very well. And so we could help you with that. One kind of an interesting one, Nikki put a And be watching on Facebook, by the way, because we put some great articles on. This one the other day mentioned that 68% of people, I thought this was interesting, 68% of people would take a lesser house to accommodate their pets. That was amazing to me. But it's really true. I was showing yesterday, in the last 2 days, about 8 homes, beautiful waterfront homes, but they were willing for a lesser home to accommodate their pets where they had a place to roam and walk around the property. So those are a couple. There's a bunch more. How about you?
So location and pets. I always ask too, like, what kind of hobbies do you have? And I know a lot of people look at me like, well, why do you want to know that? But let's say you like kayaking like I do. You're going to want a place for your kayaks, So, not having a storage place or a garage big enough to hang them, that could be a factor. Or if you have a boat, and you need a place to store your boat. I had another client of mine, a past client, who she was piano. I mean, that was her big thing. And I showed her a whole bunch of houses, and she finally found one she really liked. And she's like, okay, I think this is the one. And I looked at her and I says, okay, but where's your piano going to go? Because you told me that was going to be the deal breaker. Like, if you don't have a place for a piano, where's it going to go? And she's right. You're right. I can't buy a house because there's no place for her, for the piano. So we ended up finding her another house that worked out well. But, we really do. I mean, at least I know I do. I know, Jim, I know you do too. But we really do listen to what you say. And rather than just showing you random houses that, like, you want a 3-bedroom, a 2-bath house. I mean, there's a million of those houses out there, but it's more important to know how you're going to use that house and what you're going to be doing with that. And that also kind of leads into the dollar amounts. I'm going to let you go ahead and talk about that for just a second while I put my unmute again just for a second.
She will be right back. She's dealing with the dog issues, but here she comes.
I am so sorry. My kids are home. It's like Christmas break, and they are just out playing with the dogs, and the dogs are thinking it's on Christmas break too, and everybody's having too much fun in my house, I think, today. It's like it doesn't work always so well.
Live video, here we are.
But yeah, exactly. And we do it from home. We're so fortunate. I mean, like, this wasn't even probably a thing not, a couple of years ago. But no, what we were saying is, like, when we sit down and we talk with our buyers, I mean, obviously we're going to ask you a lot of those questions. We're going to, probably one of the most important ones is, how much house can you or do you want to afford? And, it's really important to, again, have talked to your lender and to make sure that they're telling, you're saying, this is my comfort zone as far as my monthly payment, and they've given you those amounts. And so I know I really don't like to try to, like, push people into something that's more expensive that, maybe they can do it, but I'd rather them show me the house if that's the case than I would show them the house, because then they know, hey, it was on me if my payment's higher than what I want it to be, because I don't want you to hate me because of your house payment. I want you to love your house and love me because I found you the right house.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? Yes. So
and I think there's some deal breakers too, that it's important to communicate that. Are there any deal breakers to you? Like, if it doesn't have a fence for the yards or for the yard or for the kids, is that a deal breaker? If it doesn't have, like you were talking about, a shop, maybe somebody restores cars or does woodwork or something like that. We really want to know those things so that we can search for you effectively and not send you homes that are just, that there will be deal breaker things in the search.
Yeah. And a lot of times when you're dealing, maybe it's with a spouse or a partner, and you're, like, it's interesting sometimes. I mean, a lot of times you're not on the same page, but there's times where, like, like, one person wants one thing, you know what I mean? They want, like, their list of things, and the other person wants a list of things. And when I taught classes for the Washington Housing, through the DPA program and stuff like that, when I was doing those classes, what was interesting is we did, like, this M&M test, and I think I told you a little bit about it, but you would give a couple, they could go through and they would write down, like, what's your 10 top things that you want in a house. And they would have your lists and stuff, and then you kind of combine them and say, okay, so these are your top 10, and that's pretty clear. Okay, now which is important to the wife and to the husband, let's say, or to the, to one person and to the next person, and then they have to rate them by number of M&Ms on what's important. And so you can kind of see like, oh, they really are on the same page, or they're really not. I mean, most people say, yes, we want a yard. Well, if you can had to give up the yard because you don't always get what you want. And again, when you buy a house, it's usually, you're going to be moving. Most people move every 5 to 7 years, I believe is the rate.
Yeah.
So, it's not your forever home. Usually you're going to move again and, whatever, but it's interesting because it does let people see, oh, this person really values that yard. I mean, maybe they're an avid gardener or something like that, and that has to be it. But for the spouse, maybe it's, no, I need the shop. I mean, if we have to pick, it's my way. And so it's good to get a lot of those discussions out of the way to know, we just can't negotiate on these. These are unnegotiable. We have to have those, and to make sure everybody's on the same page. And that kind of leads us to being on the same page with your team, right, Jim?
Exactly. Exactly. Being on the same page is so important. I just had one of those, and it's, I think we could really help you with the questionnaire and really listening and help you get on the same page. It'd be a great exercise. And the M&M thing is awesome.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. And let's talk about your team a little bit, because I'm going to kind of put this up here. Actually, I'm going to do this one, I think, instead. But this is kind of just the home buying process, and you can kind of see it. I mean, we're just starting. We're up here. We're just getting our list or our search set up. We've talked to the lender and stuff like that. But as you can see, I mean, you've got your lender, you've got your real estate person, and then you're going to get down here into closing to your title and your escrow people and stuff. So you do have, a pretty big team, and it's really, really important to make sure, and that's kind of what our job is. I mean, is to make sure all the parties are connecting and communicating and sharing the information that needs to be shared, and making sure the whole process runs smoothly. And that's a lot of it that people don't know behind the scenes that we do. So.
Yes. What about the search, Nikki, of setting up a search for people?
So I always set up an MLS one. Like I said, I sit down with my buyers, and I probably spend at least a good hour just sitting down, just getting to know what their goals are. Like, how soon do they want to move? When do they want this house? The different parameters that they really need and want, versus wants, I should say. So what their needs are. But then I sit down and I go in the MLS, and we have a very, there's a lot of ways that we can make it so it's very detailed towards what that person wants. Sometimes it gets a little too detailed, and there's not a lot of choices out there. And that's, again, where we kind of have to be flexible sometimes. Like, I really, really wanted a third of an acre, but man, if I got it for a quarter of an acre and I had all this other stuff here that I wanted, is that going to be workable? So, we kind of talk about parameters, I guess, more so than, like it could be within this range kind of thing on what's important. So, and I just do an MLS search. I'll set up an MLS search, and that's usually what I use. And clients can actually go on there and do their own searches, and they can look for other things on there too. You can leave notes for your broker, which is really nice, because then, if I'm sending you something and it's just not the right feel or something, you can say, I absolutely do not like, it looks like a cove or something in here. And I just, it's like really dark, and I can't stand that darkness in this little room, because it's just, and that would be like the main area that we'd spend a lot of our family time. So that definitely is not going to work. Don't show me anything more like that.
I might mention too, Nikki, as we're talking about, now we're looking for houses. A lot of people go on Zillow or Redfin or something like that. Mm-hmm. I think one of the things you can add to this, but I think one of the things that some of the time those aren't accurate. I remember when I was looking, when actually you were helping me and I was looking on my own, some of those were already sold or under contract.
Yeah, I think it's gotten better in the last couple of years. I know that there's still like a delay sometimes, like something won't always update as quickly as the MLS does, because that's where we're inputting, as brokers we're inputting all of our information, and that's where the most up-to-date stuff within our area is going, at least. So I would say use your MLS. That's just my, personal thing, but you can use Zillow. if you, like I said, I'm not necessarily going to send you homes that are outside of the number or the dollar amount you're going to send me. So if you want to look for something like that, then, you may want to do some extra searching out there, and then call your broker up and say, hey, I found this one. It's maybe, $20,000 over what, we were thinking, but talked to my spouse and they said, hey, it would work. So, we really want to go see it. Where what the, what that's going to do to our payment. We're okay with that. Those are some, but again, that's really that communication and that honesty, that I try to build up really, I try to have my clients be really honest with me and let me know this is totally not working, or, this is what we're at. The more information that, that you share and that, that they trust you, that really helps the whole process.
Okay. That's great. I think one of the other things is one of the other things is that we can send a questionnaire to get you going. But also we'd like to have a sit-down consultation.
Yeah.
With you.
And during that too, I mean, oh my God, my dogs, I'm so sorry, everyone. But we talk about, just the buying process. We'll talk about how to run contracts. We'll do some stuff like that. And then, we'll kind of go through the whole process with you. We'll talk about, fees and closing costs, which we're going to get into next week. So I don't want to go too far ahead into that, but,
Excellent.
We do give a lot of that information. And so it's a really good time to really, get to know your broker, have them get to know your family, and then kind of put it all together so it makes sense, and then, have them get to work for you. So.
Excellent. And then when they're ready to look for a house, you just call us or you call your agent. And I know we are available almost always to go ahead and look at a house and open it up so you can see it.
Yes, exactly. I know what's wrong with my dogs today. Their Christmas presents haven't came yet. They're
that's right.
Their Christmas presents are delayed because of our horrible weather, and so they're all throwing temper tantrums right now.
That's right. Sad puppies.
See, dogs are very important. And actually, pet smells are a big thing for a turn off for a lot of people when you're out searching for homes. So
that's very true.
There's
yeah.
other things out there. Yeah.
Well, that's great.
So sorry. I was going to say, so next week, I do want to get into, because our rates, I mean, our commissions haven't really changed, but the way that they're being put out there, they're a little different now. So I kind of want to address that next week. We have some closing costs. So we're going to kind of go through some of the costs that are associated besides just the down payment on the loan, because there's other costs, but people don't realize earnest money, what it is, that kind of stuff. So we're going to start getting everyone prepped next week about kind of the funds that you're going to need, home inspection costs, that kind of stuff, getting you set up for that process. And then we'll continue on from there.
Wonderful. Well, we love getting together with you all. Give us some input.
Yeah, definitely. We need input. I know people are watching this because I can see the numbers on it. So I know people are watching this, and thank you for watching us. And hopefully you guys are getting some value. I mean, that's, really that's what we're trying to do, is make sure that you are kind of talk through the process. So you're, if I had to go buy a house tomorrow, I could watch these guys and they're going to tell me how to do it. So that's what we're trying to get to that point. And, but if you have questions, please let us know.
Wonderful. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you for joining Keeping It Real with Jim and Nikki. Bye, everyone.
Bye.